There's a reason why I choose to use the tools that I use whenever I'm building a new project, regardless usually of what the project consists of. There's one stack that I'm always reaching for. And it's not just because I now work for Laravel. In fact, I was already talking about this in my first ever video that I posted to the channel where I talk about why I choose Laravel. But this is going to be a different kind of video talking about why I choose the tech stack that I choose within Laravel. A lot of people always ask me, okay, Josh, but why aren't you using Inertia, for example? Why do you always like to use Livewire? And there's a reason for that. I love the JavaScript ecosystem. I moved out of the JavaScript ecosystem, but I still love things in it like Nuxt and even Next or Remix and Svelte and SvelteKit. And Solid is something that I'm really passionate about, and I enjoy following along with that story. But there's a reason why I choose the tech stack that I am using, and this tweet got me interested in talking about this a little bit more. So in this tweet, Alexander talks about the tech stack that they're using for their new SaaS. Spent weeks researching, testing each of them. I believe nothing can be better than this in 2024. Remix.js, Next.js, too much magic under the hood. Next.js is serverless focused. Why not Nuxt, Laravel, PHP? SaaS means SPA, not a blog, not a personal site. Each one of these in this tweet thread, it's worth it to take a look at. Not just because I think that my stack is different, but because I can agree and find a lot of benefits in how Alexander thought through this. Things like using a Supabase specifically for what they give you for free, or a DB like Postgres on Supabase over Drizzle ORM and something else. So using Supabase and not using a ORM connected to Supabase, using Mantine UI instead of things like ShadCN. And that's great because my personal opinion and personal preference is you need to find the stack that works for you to not just build things fast. That's one thing, but where you can find a specific demo or find like a new idea and know off the top of your head immediately, using Remix, using Supabase, using Drizzle, using Mantine, whatever your stack is, if you automatically get a new SaaS idea, you should be able to know in your head, here's how I would build it with each piece of element, down to the UI, down to how you would design it. It should be this lingering moment in your head of, I know exactly how I would build that if I was using it in my stack. And so what is my stack? What is my tech stack in Laravel specifically in 2024 and beyond? And I'll show you. It starts with Laravel. And the reason for that is because you can watch my Why I Choose Laravel video. It's mostly because I love what the ecosystem brings. And yes, I work there now, but I did it when I was still talking about what I loved about it. I love what the ecosystem brings. I love what the community brings. And more importantly, I love what I get from nothing. And I love the things that are both free and paid in the community, that I can start a project extremely quickly and build the thing that I need to build. That's a given. So whether I'm building a Chrome extension with an API, I'm using Laravel. Whether I'm building a SaaS application specifically meant for server-side rendering, I'm using Laravel. Whether I'm building an SPA, I'm using Laravel. But what's the next pieces of it? Okay, I have Laravel, but the next piece is Livewire. And of course, yes, you're going to change things depending on like what specific project, but usually I'm using Livewire. And unless I'm only building a Chrome extension, I'm using Livewire. So Laravel, Livewire. And I specifically use Livewire Volt. Now this is where I want to rant a little bit, because a lot of people, when I talk about Volt, specifically in the Laravel community, don't like that option. Mostly because there's not that great of tooling yet for it, but it is a single file component within Livewire. So if I was to take a look at Livewire Volt components, look something like this. This would be a class-based Livewire Volt component, or you have something like, let's see, something like this within functional Volt component. You have your logic in the top part of a component. You have your view layer in the bottom. Why do I like this? Why do I build within Volt? Because it allows me to build something quickly and then extract when I need to. It allows me to continue to iterate while I'm building something, because I can open up a file and I can automatically see what does this file do, because I have the view layer and I have the logic. Yes, this file can get big. In my upcoming Laracast course, I build it pretty much in 2 Volt files. And yes, you could probably extract a lot of what I did in that course to different files. But because I was just showing you how I build this quickly and iterate as I go, it starts with just building everything in one file. I know exactly where things are happening, because on that one page is just one component, and I can find anything I need to on that one page. This is my choice instead of using something like Inertia. Why? Because I love what Vue and Svelte and similar kind of single file component structures give you, where you have your logic in a script tag or what have you. In this case, it's just a PHP tag. And then you have your view layer and a template tag within Vue, or just your HTML within Svelte. Because I don't have to have this logic context switching in my mind of, okay, I'm opening up a new file, I'm opening up a new template, or I'm have 2 things kind of side by side. I just like it all in one file. And yeah, it might not be perfect, and I could easily have a logic file in one side of my screen and a view file in the other. But this is what I choose to do for my tech stack. I use Livewire Volt, and then I use Tailwind. So it's been a while since I haven't used anything besides Tailwind, and I use a bunch of different UI components and things, but most of them, actually all of them, are built on top of Tailwind. So if I need to extend anything, I just have gotten used to using Tailwind and CSS with that. When I host a project, or I guess with Laravel and Livewire, I also use Alpine.js. I don't count that as part of my stack just because it's built into Livewire. So I don't really count that or consider that as a piece of the stack. Well, we'll say that. So this is what most people would consider as the tall stack within Laravel. But there's different pieces, and I have a full video talking about tools that I use within Laravel, which I would say fall into all of this. But when it comes to a tweet like this of a framework, we have a database, and I would say I just use Laravel's database, and most of the time I'm just using SQLite unless there's a specific reason not to. I use Laravel's ORM with SQLite, and I use Tailwind as my UI. And there's a bunch of different UI components that I use, or projects that I use, like Tailwind UI, or something like Wire UI or Daisy UI, depending on the specific style that I'm looking. There's also Tall Stack UI, I think it's called Tall Stack UI. Yeah, Tall Stack UI. I love a lot of these components as well. I imagine when Laracon happens in a couple of weeks, I might have a different opinion or a different suggestion for folks, possibly. But all of my tech stack revolves around how can I build something fast and iterate without having to grab a whole bunch of packages. Yes, I have that whole video of these are the packages that I build or that I bring in and use in a Laravel application, in a Livewire application, in a Tailwind application, in an Alpine application. All of those packages work, but 90% of my use case, if I'm using this and then deploying on either Forge or Vapor with SQLite, shout out to Terso. If I'm using Vapor, I'm using Terso connected with SQLite most of the time. It's cheaper than RDS, which is Amazon's database. This gets me 90% of the way there, where this is 90% of my project. If I'm using anything like queues, I'm using SQLite with a queue with Laravel. If I'm using anything like a background job, I'm using SQLite with a queue within Laravel. This is the reason why I continue to say I choose Laravel, whether I work there or not. If I was to stop working at Laravel tomorrow, I would still have this as my tech stack. And this video isn't sponsored by anybody. It's just sponsored by me and my time. The tech stack that I choose is because I can look at a project. For example, I just tweeted about how I want to build this project in Laravel and Livewire. I think this is a great example of what Next.js does fantastically. And this project itself that Lee Rob tweeted out, the demo is wonderful. Like, it's so fast. And this is live. And it's not, I'm not saying that, oh, I can make this in Livewire and I can make it perfect. I could make this exactly identical. I probably can't, honestly. But I'm going to try my best to make it identical and talk about, okay, what are the trade-offs of using something like Laravel or Livewire with this specific stack? Laravel, Livewire, Tailwind, Alpine, hosted on Forge with SQLite. I'm going to use that to build this project. And there's going to be trade-offs. There's going to be advantages and disadvantages. For example, I think Livewire does the filters in a perfect way where I don't have to worry about, I can keep them in the URL state, and then I can have them be synced if I choose a different page or a different component. But the reason why I am so drilling in of this whole tech stack is the thing that you should look at something and say, I know exactly how to build it, is that's what went into my mind, and that's why I wanted to rant on this video. I saw this demo and I thought in my mind, oh, I know exactly how I would build this with Livewire Volt over here. And I know exactly how I would use Tailwind with Alpine to do some of this animations. And I know exactly how I would do pagination within Laravel and Livewire. The moment you have an idea and you think to yourself, I know exactly how to iterate, I know exactly how to build, I know exactly how to implement that idea within my specific tech stack or within a specific tech stack, then I know that you are on your way to continuing to learn as best as you can. Because building within a tech stack isn't just, I am choosing the best options for this particular job. That's great. Most of the time, you're going to have to do that, whether in a job or even within like your personal projects. You can learn something new. I do it all the time. And I say, hey, this would be a great example for me to learn Phoenix or learn Python or what have you. And that's great. But your tech stack should be something where you can automatically look at it and say, I know how to do this. I know how I would do this. I know why I would do this. And I know that even if this might not be the best option for the given solution or given problem at hand, I know how to get at least 90% there. It's been my tech stack for coming up on 2 years now. And it's been my tech stack for all of this year. It's been my tech stack through videos, through getting hired by the Laravel team. And it's going to continue being my tech stack for a little bit of time now, at least. And until then, I'm going to keep building, keep creating. So why don't you do the same, keep creating.